Good morning, dear Dharma friends. Sound is okay, it would appear. Hello, Stephanie, way off on the other side of the world. Nice to see you. Well, I'm going to look at the date. It's August the 12th, 2020. I'm here in my beautiful little house in Beaverton, Oregon. The days are getting shorter. I can see it already. And today it's overcast. So the coziness of this little shelter is really delicious. Thank you for making it happen. I have an interesting day ahead. I'm going to a recording studio. 2 years ago in the winter, I went to a concert called Winterfest, I think is what the name. They raise a lot of money for helping people move from homelessness into homes. And they moved like 1,000 people a year, and this is what that organization does. But anyway, there was a raffle for a very fine handmade guitar, for which I bought 6 tickets, and I won. And along with that came 8 hours of recording studio time. And I'm far from needing a recording studio for my guitar, so I gave it to my guitar teacher and his wife. And they never used it. But now there's a need to read Mindfulness for a Happy Life and to do it and do it well. And so today I'm going to work with a fellow who's been doing recording work for 40 years. So I anticipate an interesting day, a little anxious, but I'll do what I can today and then hire him for whatever more is needed. So a poem. This one is called Our Jeopardy, and it's by Thomas Carlyle. And yesterday I spent a little while with Molly, who's completely rebuilt my website. If you haven't seen the new robertbeatty.com, I encourage you to go take a look because it's absolutely gorgeous. So, Our Jeopardy. She showed me how to use the blog function. I was missing one step, so now I can put stuff in the blog with relative ease, it would seem. And you'd find the blog by going to robertbeatty.com and just looking for blog. Okay, Our Jeopardy. It is good to use the best china, the most genuine goblets, the oldest lace tablecloth. There's a risk, of course, every time you use anything, or anyone shares an inmost moment, or a fragile cup of revelation. But not to touch, not to handle the artifacts of being human, is the quiet crash, the deadly catastrophe, where nothing is enjoyed or broken or spilled or spoken or stained or mended, where nothing is ever lived, loved, laughed over, wept over, where nothing is ever lost or found. It is good to use the best china, the most genuine goblets, the oldest lace tablecloth. There is a risk, of course, every time you use anything or anyone shares an inmost moment or a fragile cup of revelation, but not to touch, not to handle the artifacts of being human, is the quiet crash, the deadly catastrophe, where nothing is enjoyed or broken or spilled or spoken or stained or mended, where nothing is ever lived, loved, laughed over, wept over, where nothing is ever lost or found. This is it, isn't it? This is the moment of our life, right now. And let's remind ourselves of a way to encourage ourselves to live with less fear. Put a little more life into this. So where shall we take refuge today, this moment? I take refuge in being awake. Not just awake from sleep, but awake from identification with all the contents of mind. Awake from identification with this personality. I take refuge in what I discover when I'm awake. Notably that everything changes, everything changes, everything changes. And I take refuge in the Sangha and the community of practice. Here we are, sitting shoulder to shoulder in a circle around the Dharma hall. I take refuge in the Buddha, the one who shows me the way in this life. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Buddhaya. I take refuge in the Dharma, the way of understanding and love. Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Dharmaya. I take refuge in the Sangha, the community of mindful harmony. Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya, Namo Sangaya. Thanks. And so we assume a posture we can rest in, comfortably upright. Notice how alive this body is. We're not looking for some particular or intense aliveness, just what's really true. If you direct awareness toward what we call the hands, you'll find a lot of life. And we can put descriptors on this: cold, warm, tingling, vibrating, pressure. But before or beneath those descriptors, there's something that is nameless. That is just life. The same is true with the pressure in the buttocks, or the life in your feet. And the same is true in the coming and going of the breath. At the beginning of practice, there's a certain sense of, I am now directing my awareness toward this, my breath. There's a lot of I, me, and mine in it. Over time, as we train the mind to be more attentive and to be curious about the breath, it gradually turns to just sensations. Sensations arising out of nowhere, just right where they are. And this presence with the sensations in the body, the development of mindfulness and concentration, helps illuminate the thoughts, the mood, just like everything else in the universe, including the universe itself. Everything has a beginning. It is good to use the best china. It is good to embrace life fully. To notice this breath really does happen. To notice these thoughts, this mood, in fact, do come into being and then vanish. And let us remember that to bring our practice into perfect balance in any moment, we can simply recall, this moment is like this. It really is like this, as it is now. We don't need to make it any different. resting back into the present moment. There's no past moment that we need to figure out or return to. And there's no future moment that exists yet. And so we rest back into now. There is nothing to be gained by comparing this moment with another. It's a fruitless practice of being caught in an imagination. Instead, we land right here with this breath, with this thought, with this mood, with this hope or fear, with this desire or disliking, this calm or this restlessness, this sleepiness or this crisp awakeness, this faith or this doubt. we rest back into, as Ruth Denison put it, we rest back into the beauty of our being. We rest back into the nowness of this being now. In the Catholicism of my youth and childhood, my teen years, there was a great emphasis upon the practice and experience of communion, the act of becoming one with the Christ. A mystical monk, the abbot of the local Trappist monastery, in my 40s or 50s, helped me understand that the meaning and purpose of that was well summarized, that in the moment of taking the communion wafer in, the intention was to have a transpersonal experience and to become one with the Mass, to become awake. Every breath is communion. We are small beings who live at the bottom of the ocean of air. We're bottom dwellers of the ocean of air. There's so much air above us that it presses on our skin with 15 pounds on every square inch. Feel your in-breath and recognize you are taking in air, oxygen from the trees, from the plankton, from the grass, everywhere that photosynthesis happens. Carbon dioxide is converted into branches and leaves and twigs. And the oxygen that is your necessity is released. We are not separate from the trees. We are the trees. We are the algae. Our great body, our body that is beyond birth and death, is our true home. Breathing in and breathing out. And in this way, breathing in and breathing out becomes an act of love. Billions of cells require oxygen, and it's granted. Resting in the naturalness of this, in the easy compassion of this. It doesn't require any concepts or thinking. It's just this. And we might form the intention to go about our day to day very mindfully, whenever we can, remembering to wake up. Oh, now I'm driving. Now I'm at the computer typing. Now I'm on the phone. Now I'm doing dishes. This is what I'm doing now. With no tension. Or if there is tension, or even if there's flaming anxiety, that's what's happening now. Dropping into the life that is your body. Breathing in and breathing out consciously. And please now let us bring awareness into the face, into the cheeks and the gums and the lips and the tongue and the forehead. And into the eyes, and let the eyes do what they do, which is an intention forms and then the eyes open. Open and then there's seeing. Seeing and then objects are present. And the objects which are, quote, out there, are received by that which is, quote, in here, which is awareness. And I want to thank you for joining me this morning. It's so comforting to be in community with you. I decided I'm going to do this morning, give you a little tour. See if it works. Oh, there it is. So this is robertbeatty.com. Robert meditating among the giants. And then there's a way to get the book. This gorgeous scene, which was from where I went camping just 3 weeks ago. Your true nature is loving, compassionate, wise, and at ease. And this is a video that was created by my friend Martin Berkman in Canada. I highly recommend you watch it. He's a great videographer, and it's from a retreat I did at Atlin Lake, which is on the border between the Yukon and British Columbia. Stunning place. And then you can go to YouTube and see previous teachings. And this is the interview. This link here goes to the interview with KPTV that I showed yesterday. And then this is the podcasts. You can go there and sign up for podcasts. And this is the access point for live online. It's very unclear on the PAMC website, and we're working to get it changed, but it's very difficult given the old website. And then this is something else. I did a collaboration with Sam Forenchich, who is the photographer for the Blazers. It's my favorite Buddhist document, the Trust in the Heart Sutra, the third Chinese patriarch of Zen. The great way is not difficult for those who are not attached to their preferences. Make the smallest distinction, however, and heaven and earth are set infinitely apart. If you wish to know oneness, then cease to hold opinions for or against anything. It's a gorgeous piece of teaching. And then this is the nice closing. Practice with everything that is, and then up at the top you get to go across into About, And whoop. I don't know. Did you get did you get the change, Jim? Great, it's working. And a nice photo gallery. This is my favorite. Does this kid not look dangerous? I think he looks dangerous. Turned out he was. And a really nice, this is a picture of Ruth and myself on the day of my Dharma transmission in 1984. I like the hair. Isn't that cool? And then, whoops, can I get out of here? Maybe not. Here we go. And then there's more. You can find all kinds of things here. The blog is here, and resources. I'll just point this out. These are old articles that I wrote, but I decided they're worth keeping. And this is a really fun one here. The Swish of a Horse's Tail, which is the story of me falling in the mountains and rupturing my quadriceps tendons and being taken out by helicopter. And there's great pictures of me going up into the helicopter. And I wrote the article quite under the influence of narcotics in the days following the surgery. But it really reads well, and it's true. Okay, so out of that, I want to come out of that and then do another share by way of announcing things. This is the antique. Oh, did it move? No, it didn't. Oh, here we are. Have you got the PIMC website, Jim? Oh, I had my sound off. Is this the PIMC website?
Yes.
Great. So, in order to, here's this online. You can go here and you can see the online offerings, which are really a lot. There's this morning sit. There's Jim's Monday night coming up again in a while. Tuesday morning, and then where'd they go? Oh, here's Kate starting Fridays, and down at the bottom is Candle Sunday nights. So I'm so glad that is all coming together. We got so many teachings happening now. And what can I do here? I have one more thing I wanted to show you. Is it here? Oh, here it is. Yes. This. If you'd like to make a contribution to PIMC, you can go here. And you can find the class or the group that you are a participant in. And if you'd like, you can make your contribution there. And they all go into the same pot in the end. But it's a way for us to keep track of where people are visiting. So, that's the advertising side of things. Thanks for being here. It really is precious to me. I love the little pilgrimage across the backyard and now into my sturdy little house. I went to Costco yesterday and bought a dog bed, so Budo is comfortable in his dog bed. I'm very comfortable right here. So enough of, Jim, let's mention for sure, this Saturday, I meant to do it when I was in the offerings. Jim, you want to speak for a moment about the Saturday event you're offering?
Yes, on the 15th at 9 o'clock, I'll be online for about 4 hours, from 9 to 1, and we'll be moving a lot and sitting a lot, and there'll probably be some breaks where we can get away from the screen and just take 10 minutes and go outside. But we'll break it up so that we're not just sitting in front of the screen for 4 hours. Exploring the awakeness in the body, and then there'll be some inspiring poetry also. So hope you can slow down and break away from all the activities of your life and just sit for a small part of Saturday, 9 o'clock to 1 o'clock. And then there's a online. There is a link to this Saturday thing that will help our bookkeeping and data tracking and all that stuff. So go out to the portlandinsight.org and you'll find a way to register for the class. And that would help us a lot. Thank you very much.
There's a box on the front page for it, actually. I have a little white dog here beside me. My ancient dog. Another day of grace. So, what's up with you folks? Anything you'd care to ask or share, or complaints about the status of the world?
Robert, it's Juliet.
Hello, Juliet. Hi,
Hey.
good morning.
Good morning. This may be a little silly, but my son has been listening. I've been having a hard time sitting because I can't really find something for him to do. So he's sitting here drawing Pokemon, and he really wants me to ask you why you named your dog Buddha. Sorry. Question.
My dog's name isn't Buddha, it's Budo.
Oh, Budo. Okay.
Budo. And Budo means, it's from the same root. The root word is bud, which means awake. And he is awake or awakeness. And in fact, in Thailand, it's very common when someone wants to practice a mantra, right, a word that you repeat again and again, a very common mantra is Budo.
Oh.
So many people, right at this moment, there are many people in the world going quietly inside their heads, Budo, 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 Budo. So that's where that comes from.
Thank you. Thank you.
What's your son's name?
Julian.
Julian.
Yeah. Yep, he's been sitting with me drawing for the last few days. So,
Wow. That's a lot of patience for him. Hey, hi,
Yeah.
Julian. You're missing a tooth.
Yeah,
Did it fall out or did you pull it out?
it fell out. I did wiggle it a lot.
Yeah.
but I was drinking milk and that just popped out.
Wow. It was really weird for a few days before, though, when it was all floppy, wasn't it?
The most part that freaked me out was the hole in between
The hole.
gum and
Oh, yeah? Huh. Isn't it weird that you lose those teeth and then you get new ones?
yeah, but you only get 2 sets.
Yeah.
That's true. Can you feel the new one already? Can you see it or feel it?
I can feel it with my tongue,
Cool.
but I can't.
Huh. Well, I'm really happy to meet you. And it's nice you're letting your mom meditate. That's really cool.
I have a little drawing club thing that Mom puts up on a little thing, and I'm drawing a coyote.
Yeah. He's trying his
Fantastic. Well, thanks for visiting. I'm really glad to meet you.
Thank you. Thanks so much, Robert.
And some of you might not have been here the times before when I've spoken about the silence that occurs sometimes when we're open like this. And one can feel pressure or tense or anxious that, well, something should be happening. Well, maybe something is happening when we're just sitting quietly. And I had two instances in my life, one in 1971 and another about 10 years ago now, when I had the privilege of being among pre-electronic people. The first time was in Nepal when I went trekking, and the second time was in Brazil, northeastern Brazil, among the Makushi, who my daughter was doing anthropology with the tribe in the Amazon, and I got to go in for one day. And these are people who don't live in electronic land. And when they're talking, I heard on numerous occasions, someone will speak, and then there's silence. And then someone will speak, and then there's silence. The pressure of thoughts and ideas and making my point. Now, no doubt it's not always like that. They no doubt have conflict, but it was really striking to me that there was allowance for space. And we do that sometimes in groups with a talking stick. But here we have it just naturally. And so if there's no one speaking, then we can simply relax and be. And then if someone speaks, we do the practice of listening. And if you're speaking, then you do the practice of speaking. But we do it all as mindfully as we can. I know as I've realized that over the years, it's taken the pressure off me as a leader of groups, because I don't have to fill up every empty spot.
Hello, Robert. Hello, Sangha.
Hello, Amy.
Hi. Most of you don't know me. I'm in Seattle, but I've been to Robert's retreats in Seattle. I just wanted to say I've been listening for most of COVID time, since sometime in March. I've been joining about twice a week, and it's been wonderful. It's been really grounding and helpful through the COVID time. Another wonderful thing in COVID is that I've had both of my daughters home for the whole time, and now one of them's back in college, and the second one, my youngest, is about to leave for college on Saturday. So I'm a little bit anxious about that. It's going to be a big transition. We're going to become quote-unquote empty nesters. So I just want to say it's been great to be a part of the Sangha, and I look forward to being with you through the transition to help. Thank you.
That reality of children leaving home is kind of intense, isn't it?
Yeah, especially when we've been together for so much for the last 5 months.
Right. Yeah. It makes the truth of anicca really poignant.
Yes, it does.
Robert, there's a question on the chat line.
Can you read it to me?
What is anicca?
Oh, okay. All right. On my second retreat, the second retreat I ever did, it was a 2-month, very intensive retreat, and my teacher started every day, every interview, each day he would talk to me for a little while, and he would always say, "What are you learning today about anicca, dukkha, anatta?" And anicca, the word literally means impermanence or change or contingent. Everything is in flux. From the Great Flash or the Big Bang, 14.2 billion years ago, they say, there's been nothing but change. Out of nothing came matter and antimatter, and then there's been stars being formed and blowing up, and planets coming and going, and people being born and dying, and creatures and species and civilizations, and it's change. It is just anicca, and there is nothing that lasts. And we live our lives with a profound delusion. We're trying to find someplace stable, and there isn't. And so the Buddha proposed, why not develop a mind which is capable of observing really clearly what's real, and see if it's true that nothing lasts. See if it's true that everything is in constant, utter, sometimes organized, sometimes predictable change. And that's anicca. And one could say, well, that's what a crappy thing to pay attention to. But a huge amount of our suffering comes because we don't want it to be like that. Like, if I may be so bold, Amy, I've suffered this myself. Here's these kids I've spent all this time developing a relationship with, and to be normal, they have to leave. And they have to go off and have lives of their own, and it's a huge change. And if I'm fighting it, saying, well, it shouldn't be this way, then there's all this extra suffering on top of the suffering of the loss of that proximity. And so the more we can accept the truth of anicca, the less we suffer. And we can delight in things coming into being and disappearing. Flowers come into being and disappear. Summer comes and then goes, and also sometimes horrible things go. We're sick and then that goes away. So anicca is like physics. It's a law of the universe, impermanence. The second one, dukkha. What's my time? The second one, dukkha, means unsatisfactoriness or suffering, and it's the first thing the Buddha taught, which is that there's a lot of suffering in life. And then why does that exist is the second noble truth. The first noble truth is the truth of dukkha. The second one is tanha. The suffering exists because we cling. We want things to be a certain way, and if they're not that way, then we're bent out of shape. If they are that way and then they change, we're bent out of shape, and we struggle to get them to stay stable. But because of that, there is dukkha. Our lives are shot through with it. And then anatta, it's a huge teaching, huge concept in a way, which is that if we develop a mind which is really awake and can really watch what's happening, we'll never find something to call ourself. That the self is a process. The self is part of the universe. It's part of a manifestation of the universe. And that too can then be, oh no, I don't want to follow a teaching that says I don't have a self. But what if it's true? What if the self is a process and we can realize that, have that become real to us? Then we can relax. And it doesn't mean we don't still have an ego and we don't function in the world, but we do it with much less anguish, because we're not trying to make ourselves perfect, because there is no such thing, because it's always in flux. So that's the long answer to anicca. About anicca, dukkha, anatta, they're known as the three characteristics of existence. And part of our practice is to test, is this true? And my experience is the more that I practice, the more true they become. It's more obvious it really is true. One thing that pops up with that is that every relationship ends in separation or death. And so what does that mean in the moments of being in relationship? It means that maybe we pay better attention. Maybe we really, and not in a sticky, clingy way, but maybe we really, we really work at being present and loving in our relationships because we know they're temporary. It's like my little dog Budo. He came in twice this morning, came over for patting, and I almost always make time for him. And more than I used to, because I'm more and more aware that who knows how long he'll live. Could be another 2 or 3 years, possibly. He's very healthy. But it also could be very soon that he'll be gone. And so why not, when he wants a little squiggle behind the ears, why not take the time? So, long answer to anicca. Have a good day at work, Amy. I keep thinking of this poem in the context of anicca, and I will share it with you. It's a poem that came to me at 33,000 feet, somewhere between New Orleans and Portland, somewhere between Kansas City and Portland. I'd been with Jennifer in New Orleans. We went to the jazz festival, something she's done for years. She went to college in New Orleans and goes there with a dear friend. I was there with her for 4 nights. We stayed in a bed and breakfast, and then she stayed for 3 days afterwards. And that morning we got up, got in a taxi, went to the fancy hotel where her friend stayed, and she was joining her downtown. Got out of the taxi, had a momentary kiss, and then parted. And this poem came later on the plane. I went back to the restroom, and then when I came back to my seat, there it was. People sleep, watch videos, play games on screens, and sip at wine. We hurtle west over snow-covered mountains. A chasm opened, or perhaps just revealed itself, with a taxi goodbye kiss in a city now far. That moment of looking away, one plane change ago, it's always the same. Here and then not here. It's that simple. Those moments we actually have when we can touch, hear, see, and smell one another are all we really have. The stakes are high, aren't they? Either we connect and love one another now, or not at all. The stakes are high, aren't they? Either we connect and love one another now or not at all. And the same is true here. Either we're here and we do the best we can through this medium, which is not bad given the distances we're dealing with. So, any last sharing? Anyone who would like to speak? A little after 8 already. Anything that needs to be said?
Robert, this is Had. Do you know of any stories or encounters of our meditation practice with pandemics in the past, or other? Just curious.
Well, I mean, I don't know about historically. I've been around a lot of people whose practice encountered sickness, old age, decay, and death. I mean, that suffering is normal for us. Doesn't prompt me to think, though, that when I read a little history now, I don't read much history, but when I do, or even when I see movies of the past, it strikes me those people were really real. They were just like me and you, and they weren't somehow immune from suffering, or they were just like us, and they were confused and struggling, and things fell apart for them, and things were together for them. Well, I need to start preparing to head up to Corbett. It's about a half-hour drive away to the recording studio in the woods. So wish me luck and a clear throat and not too much stuttering. And so I shall. And the reading is probably obvious, but it's so the book goes up on Audible and those other sources for people to listen to it that way. So I'm going to unmute. Where is it? Here we are. We're unmuted. It's a free-for-all. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be happy. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Goodbye, Julian. Goodbye, everyone. Have a lovely day.
Good to see you.
Thank you.
Is that
Goodbye.
is that a giraffe hat? I can't
Yeah,
make.
unicorn hat.
It's a unicorn hat. How cool is that?
Oh,
He was gonna make me have you email this to you, so I'm glad you got a chance to show
Oh,
it.
wow, that's nice.
Wow.
Yay, nice blues. Goodbye, everybody. Have a lovely day.
bye, friend.
Everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Have a good reading of your book.
Thanks,
Good reading
Had.
of your book.
Goodbye, Maria and Lorraine and Steffi and iPhone and Linda Bud and Nexus 7. It's a nice name. Hadley and Greg and Jim Dalton. You look familiar to me. Bye, everybody. Have a lovely day.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
Thank you, Robert.
Oh. Goodbye, friends on Facebook.